Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon sunshine here in Valencia, in Spain, where it's race one for the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell in round 2 of the season. Having already been to Bahrain, we are here in Spain for round 2 with a packed calendar ahead of us, as you can see. We follow this with the Red Bull Ring in Austria, Spielberg, then in support of the 24-hour race at Le Mans. Then we're off to Nürburgring, Imola, and of course the glittering Finale Mondiale this year, taking place 24th to the 27th of October in Mugello. Good crowd here to enjoy the race action from Ferrari Challenge. And having already seen the Trofeo Pirelli cars out on track, it is the turn now of the Coppa Shell cars. So we are about 30 minutes from central Valencia, which is a remarkable city. If you've never visited Valencia, I thoroughly recommended it. The mix of old and new architecture is truly outstanding. 4.005 kilometers, then the circuit, 14 turns, 9 left, 5 right. The track named, of course, after the two-time world champion Grand Prix motorcycle racer Ricardo Tormo. As I said, good crowd here to enjoy the race action this afternoon. And the air temperature is, if I'm honest, not what I expected it to be. Merely 16 degrees, track temperature 21. The weather conditions today, though, somewhat more pleasing than forecast for tomorrow, where there is the threat of rain. The new liveried Hublot safety car is at the front of the pack of cars, which sees a fantastic start for Eric Chung going from pole position, and alongside him is Corinna Gostner. So there is that stunning livery that's been put onto the Hublot safety car for this season. And not only does it wear those colours here in Europe, but also across other regions of Ferrari Challenge. North America, Asia, Pacific, and of course, new for 2019, the UK. So the Hublot safety car there. And here is the starting grid then. Eric Chung and Corinna Gostner are the two Shell drivers that go from pole position. Eric Chung alongside him, Corinna Gostner. The two quickest AM drivers, because we are split between Shell drivers and AM drivers, it's Agatha Smolka and Henrik Janssen alongside. And then the mix all the way through for the 17 cars that will take to grid for this, the first race of their weekend. So here in Valencia, Spain then, and don't take my word for the mix of new and old architecture. Take a look at this. So a little postcard of our venue here in Valencia. So, as I mentioned, 17 cars on the grid, and the quickest of them all is this man, Eric Chung, first in the 2012 and 2013 Coppa Shell Asia Pacific. This is his 10th pole position in the Ferrari Challenge. Eric has been in the European Series for as long as I can remember, and ably supported always by his wife Corinna, who is always with him. He's a fine ambassador for the Ferrari Challenge and a mean racing driver as well. So good to see Eric take his pole position here at Valencia, and a good job he will do from there potentially as well, engineered of course by the Formula Racing team. There is Thomas Gostner. 50 finishers inside the top 10. His debut year then, 2011. So Thomas Gostner with Daniele Diamato, his driver coach, alongside him. And he is just one of the many drivers. Let's introduce you now to Laurent de Moose.
Hello, I'm Laurent de Moose. I'm a Belgian driver racing in the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell AM. I am with FF4 Corsair, supported by HRN, my dealer, and I'm here welcoming you in Valencia. I'm in my second full season with the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell AM. I have finished last year with a race at Monza, which gave me a good momentum into my first race in Bahrain. I'm currently leading the championship after only 2 races. There's a lot more to go. So I'm here at the Valencia track, also known as Circuit Ricardo Tormo. First time for me, but for challenge many, many times. First thing is the beautiful sun and a very beautiful blue sky, which in March is heaven. The track is quite technical, a lot of very tight turns, a lot of late apex, only one straight line to rest. So there'll be a lot of physical demands in the race, and also a lot of people will miss turns, which hopefully will create overtaking opportunities for me. Very much looking forward to race here. So let me bring a bit of a personal touch. About 2 months ago, my nephew Louis broke his neck while skiing, was almost paralyzed from the neck down. It was very dramatic. And I put his name on my car to inspire me. And hopefully today he's doing a little bit better. But if I win this weekend, my victory will be dedicated to him. I wish all the other drivers a safe and great race.
So Laurent Demoux then introducing us to Valencia as we look at the number 132 car of Henrik Janssen, who is the second fastest of the Coppa Shell AM drivers. So let's hear from our pole position driver, Eric Chung, now.
Hi, I'm Eric Chung. I'm very happy I got the pole position in Valencia race 1. Thank you all the mechanics from Formula Racing and my coach, Marco Ciacci. Thank you very much.
So Eric Chung then, offering credit to his driver coach, and that's always very nice to hear. So aboard the starters rostrum then, ahead of the start of this 30-minute race to come then for the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. It's about to get underway and the excitement is beginning to build. As is always the case, it will be a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge cars, led away by the safety car. And then 30 minutes race action to come. So our race director there, ready to send the cars away. Pinpoint accurate in terms of timing. And there you can see one of the weather stations situated here at the Valencia circuit. The safety car, driven by Beppe Scanetti, himself a former Ferrari Challenge champion and one mean driver as well. Makes himself comfortable in the Hublot safety car and is about to lead the cars away on their installation lap and the rolling lap. And they will be released at the conclusion of that. On board with Tommy Lindroth, one of the Baron Motorsport drivers. Tommy, another long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge. Alex Fox then in the 134 car at the back of the pack, going from P17 on the grid. And you can hear the Hublot safety car roar into life, and that will be released shortly. And then just a few seconds later, the cars will be released on their rolling lap as well. The engineers now all leaving their drivers and their cars. And the start sequence will be got underway very, very soon indeed. All the information, of course, at races.ferrari.com. That's where you can find out all the information that you could possibly want to know with regards to the Ferrari Challenge here in Europe, and also that of the UK and Asia Pacific and North America as well. So the safety car leaves the tarmac. And stand by, just a few seconds later, the cars will be released as well as we're on the formation lap for this race number 1 of the weekend for the Coppa Shell drivers. The mix of Shell and AM drivers. The Shell drivers with the yellow sun strip, the AM drivers with the black sun strip across the top of the windscreen, so it helps you to be able to identify whether each driver is a Shell driver or an AM driver. all the social media at the top of the screen for you right now. Be part of the Ferrari Challenge, and we invite you to take part in those various means of social media for you to be in touch with us. So, front row, Eric Chung, Corinna Gosner, then it's Thomas Gosner, father of Corinna, and then von Skeltermaar, Christian Kinch, and then Ernst Kirschmeyer. Agatha Smolker and Henrik Janssen going from P7 and P8, but in class, they're P1 and P2. And then it's Murat Kuhardaroglu, Ken Abe, then Boris Gideon, Tommy Lindroth, Tani Hanna, Giuseppe Romelli, and Matthias Moser, Laurent Demouz, who we heard from earlier in the program, and Alex Fox, completing the grid then. Cars are making their way through turn number 6 now. The Angel Nieto turn, and heading up towards turn number 7. Profession is turn number 7, and from that high shot there, you can see. Forgive me laughing, my producer alongside me, trying to distract me. It doesn't take a lot, truthfully. The car's going through turn number 11 now, into turn number 12, the Championeros turn. And after turn number 12, it's really interesting because it's a very long, sweeping turn number 13, a long, sweeping right-hander before huge braking effort is required going into the final turn on this track, which is turn number 14. So through turn number 13, then you begin to dip downhill, and it is a very, very sharp left-hander into turn number 14. So the anticipation builds, and you can see the cars approaching the start-finish line. Stand by, we are about to go racing. The lights go green. Let's go racing then. Eric Chung, Corinna Gosner side by side going into turn number 1. Von Skeltermaar trying to make great moves at the early start of this race. He's on the outside of Thomas Gosner. Also in there is Ernst Kirschmeyer going all the way around the outside of everybody. Brilliant drive in. Oh, Thomas Gosner has got problems. Von Skeltermaar manages to put himself in P3, but the blistering start for it came from Ernst Kirschmeyer. Corinna Gosner has fallen back a significant number of places, but Eric Chung kept it all together. Ernst Kirschmeyer then, the big beneficiary. Laurent Demouz, another one on the move. So the cars all making their way through the first sequence of turns then. Eric Chung now being chased by Ernst Kirschmeyer. Then it's von Skeltermaar, then it's Thomas Gosner. Ken Abe is behind him. So Eric Chung and Ernst Kirschmeyer beginning to break away just a little bit. Tani Hanna there just taking a look at the inside of the Murat Kuhardaroglu car. Discretion the better part of valor for that particular overtaking move, and Tani Hanna dialed out of that. So Murat Kuhardaroglu himself chasing down the car of Agatha Smolker ahead. And Murat Kuhardaroglu, of course, in the shell category. Agatha Smolker in the AM category. So without problems at the moment, Eric Chung is able to stretch his legs a little bit and try and eke out a bit of a gap from Ernst Kirschmeyer. Kirschmeyer is keeping him keen, that's for sure, and the first time for heavy braking around the final turn, turn number 14. Christian Kinch heading the 132 car of Henrik Janssen. So here they come and put the first lap in the book then of this 30-minute race. Eric Chung leading by 7/10 over Ernst Kirschmeyer. Then it's von Skeltermaar, Thomas Gosner, Ken Abe, and Christian Kinch rounding out the top 6. Thomas Gosner under pressure now from Ken Abe as Ken Abe dives to the inside. Is Thomas aware of him there? Yes, he is. Ken Abe actually dialed out of that. I'm not sure Thomas was aware that he was there. Took a dive towards the inside and was taking a real look. But then I realised that it could be futile and it could end up in 2 very bent Ferrari 488s. So Eric Chung then continuing to do everything just right and posts the quickest of anyone in Sector 1, as indeed he would, because he's out on his own with no one ahead of him. Able to focus and concentrate on what he's doing and not worrying about anybody else at all. Drive through the windscreen rather than the rear view mirror. So there is our race leader. Eric Chung, Ernst Kirschmeyer, with a great opening lap. finds himself in P2. Then von Skeltermar, another one that did a lot of place making up at the beginning of the race. Once again, Agi Smolka coming under some pressure from Murat Kuhadaroglu. Just saw that in the last shot, but we've picked up once again on the race leader, Eric Chung, in the Formula Racing engineered car number 198. So braking again into turn number 14. There's Ernst Kirchmayr, von Skeltermar, Thomas Gostner, and then the rest of the pack coming through as well. And you can see just how hard Murat Kuhadaroglu is trying to break down the defences of Agata Smolka, and was running really, really wide. Fastest lap comes from Ernst Kirchmayr, who's now quicker than Eric Chung, a 1:38.219. So he closes the gap to within 6/10 of Eric Chung ahead. There, the 132 car of Henrik Jansen, who's leading the Shell AM category. Second in AM is Agata Smolka, who in turn is being chased down by Murat Kuhadaroglu. What Agata Smolka needs to do is, of course, dispose of Corinna Gostner ahead, so she can perhaps try and get on terms with Henrik Jansen, but there is a significant gap between the two of them. Track limits, always a problem here at the Valencia circuit, and in the earlier Trofeo Pirelli race, the track limit violations were ruled and dealt with a rod of iron, with nearly every driver across the pack getting a penalty of some sort. So we will keep an eye on that. The battle for P4 between Thomas Gostner, Ken Abe, and Christian Kinch. Christian Kinch, of course, having had the best racing weekend of his career at Bahrain, and no sooner do we mention track limits, and Christian Kinch, the very man that we're talking about, has been warned for exceeding the track limits, as von Skeltermar has a fault. Oh, every car just manages to avoid. The one that came closest was Tanny Hanna. So von Skeltermar with a problem with his car. What a shame. Von's had a torrid time of it in Bahrain, and it's not going well for him this afternoon here either. It looks like a positive retirement for the 177 car of von Skeltermar. I was just so concerned that car was going to be picked up by some of those that were unsighted and not aware of the fact that he was in trouble. Ernst Kirchmayr again sets the fastest lap, but Eric Chung has maintained the gap between P1 and P2. I mean, the difference between the two of them is negligible. Christian Kinch is chasing hard, and now von Skeltermar's car is in a perilous position. It's broadside across the track, and that could be, if that car can't be moved, surely one of the marshal posts will have reported back to race control, and well, at the very least, you're going to have waved yellows there. So we keep our eye on that situation, but von Skeltermar stuck out there on the track, and yeah, sure enough, because otherwise that car could just be, oh, he's got it going again. Well done, Fons. He's managed to get the car rolling again, and we'll try and get it back to safety, but the long list of track limit violations is coming in now, which includes our race leader, Eric Chung. It also includes the car of Agata Smolka, car number 186, car number 107, that's the car of Ken Abe, and the 159 car of Tanny Hanna as well. Beg your pardon, 159, of course, Matthias Moser. That is Tanny Hanna, and that's why I was confused, because we've got his car on screen as he's chasing down Murat Kuhadaroglu. So Murat is going to come under real pressure now, and will perhaps, that will leave a sigh of relief for Agata Smolka, because Murat Kuhadaroglu is going to have Tanny Hanna for company, and Agata Smolka, as I say, will be able to focus on trying to get on terms with Corinna Gostner ahead, because there's like a five-way car fight going on here, and right at the back of that pack is Giuseppe Romelli. So car 159 has been given a penalty already. Matthias Moser has got a 5-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. There's Giuseppe Romelli, the driver that we were talking about just a few moments ago at the back of that pack. And just behind Giuseppe Romelli is the Baron Motorsport driver, Tommy Linderoth, who is running at the moment in P12 in the race overall. So Tanny Hanna and Murat Kuhadaroglu virtually welded together here. So Tanny Hanna just flashing his lights, trying to unsettle Murat Kuhadaroglu ahead of him, with the hope of being able to with the hope of being able to get past him. So the Skeltermar car is in, the Kessel team go to work on it. Nicky Kadai, von Skeltermar's race coach, straight away into the cockpit of the car trying to talk to Fons. And Aggie Smolka now, as I predicted, now that Murat Kuadaroglu's focus is on defending rather than attacking, that has allowed Aggie Smolka to get closer to Corinna Gosner. Corinna Gosner, the biggest loser at the start of the race, losing some 5 places right at the start of the race. Penalty time, 5-second time penalty being given to Corinna Gosner. And car number 145 and 177 have got a 5-second time penalty due to overtaking to gain an advantage. I don't quite understand how that's worded, truthfully. But presumably gaining an advantage by short tracking the limits, not sure. There is Christian Kinch. He's one that's been warned about exceeding the track limits. It has to be said that just a few moments ago. Please decipher that for me. Penalty time 5 seconds due to overtake, gain an advantage. Christian Kinch closing in on the back of the Ken Abe car. More cars continuing to exceed the track limits, including Manuela Gosner and also the car of Alex Fox and the car of Matthias Moser once again. Add to the list of that Boris Gideon, and I think pretty much every car that's on the track has been warned about exceeding the track limits, which means that various penalties may well be awarded, and therefore, as the cars cross the line in around about 20 minutes' time, you have to take account of the fact that there's Cyril von Skeltermar's partner. She had a torrid time of it in Bahrain with her husband being taken off to hospital for checks, and now, of course, he's out of the race with the car up on the jacks. You can just see in the pit lane there. Oh, Thomas Gosner just moved across there and made contact with Ken Abe and loses out on 2 places because Christian Kinch is trying to come through, and Thomas Gosner trying to just hold on to whatever positions he can. There was certainly contact between himself and Ken Abe and also the car of Christian Kinch, they've both moved up places. So that battle for P3 in the Shell drivers took a turn for the worse, really, in terms of damage. As Thomas Gosner perhaps just a little caught out, and now he's really under pressure from Henrik Janssen. And Thomas Gosner is off into the gravel now. Now, I wonder whether perhaps he's got a puncture or some component is playing up now following the contact that he's had. Here comes Agata Smolka now. And Thomas trying to come back at Agata Smolka. And this is all playing into the hands of Tani Hanna, who's able to get past Murat Kuhadaroglu, which he's been trying to do. And the Thomas Gosner car looks to me like it's ill handling. He's trying to drive through whatever problems he's got, but he's not as quick, and therefore that's immensely frustrating for those drivers just behind. And in all that confusion, it just meant that he was... Now here comes the first point of contact, which 6 of one, half a dozen of the other there, because the initial contact came when Thomas did move across on Christian, but in fairness, Christian didn't dive out of it either. And then, of course, Thomas trying to defend his position. Both door mirrors go for a Burton. And... and now that, in fairness, is where Tani Hanna got past Murat Kuhadaroglu. Murat actually made a mistake. So that played into the hands of Tani Hanna, who was able to go through. And there in the Formula Racing garage, you can see everything being looked at. And there is the Formula Racing driver that's doing the best job possible. 198, Eric Chung, who's leading the race. Now, Car 107 picks up a time penalty of 5 seconds. That's Ken Abe, who is in P3. That's going to elevate. Now, let me think about this. I was going to say that's going to elevate others, but some of those others have got time penalties as well. We'll sort it all out at the end. Just bear with me, please. Eric Chung then leading the race by some 3.256 seconds. So Ernst Kirchmayr, whilst initially was right on Eric Chung, Eric has just been able to measure the pace perfectly and pace it really, really well, and finds himself not only some 3.26 seconds ahead, but untroubled now by Ernst Kirchmayr, where once he was troubled. Here's the leader in the AM. This is all pre-penalties. Bear in mind, we've got so many time penalties that are going to be added at the end of the race. The oracle that I have alongside me, Nico, will work out all the penalties and who's going to get what and where, and give me a proper running order at some point right at the end of the race, because it is going to make a difference. Here is now Ken Abe, who's being chased down by Christian Kinch. We're aware of the fact Ken Abe has just received a 5-second time penalty. That should immediately elevate Christian Kinch, but Christian Kinch himself has got a time penalty as well. Now, it's how that will affect the other cars behind as to whether they'll be able to take advantage of that. But Christian Kinch, for now, can sniff a podium opportunity. And the one driver that's stopping him being back on the podium again, because he podiumed twice in Bahrain, is Ken Abe, who is just ahead of Christian Kinch. So Christian will be doing everything he possibly can to unsettle Ken Abe ahead of him, get him to make just the tiniest of mistakes, and then he will be through like a viper, ready to bite. Car number 103, which is the Boris Gideon car, is being warned about track limits. It's only a warning at this stage. It's not a penalty yet. Just watch this space, because sure as eggs are eggs, it will happen. Through turn number 14, then running downhill now towards turn number 1. Christian Kinch will, I don't think he's close enough to take a look at the inside at the moment. The live gap between the two of them, 0.3, down 9/100ths. Oh, he is going to look. He's going to look at the inside, but isn't close enough to be able to do it. Now, did that unsettle Ken Abe? Actually, no, it didn't. And what's happening now is Henrik Jansen's coming back into this battle, which is almost unnecessary because he's in a different class. He's in the AM class. But even so, Christian Kinch is in this awful position of being hunted as well as hunting. So he's going to have to defend as well as attack. And, of course, the moment he has to defend, and he does need to defend against Henrik Jansen, even though Henrik is in a different category, he doesn't want him between himself and the fight that he's taking to Ken Abe. Here comes Tanny Hanna on Agata Smolka. Tanny Hanna, of course, was racing in the Asia-Pacific series of the Ferrari Challenge just a couple of weekends or so ago. Another driver in the Ferrari Challenge that races not only across Europe but Asia-Pacific as well on occasions, and there's this very, very healthy transfer of talent between all the regional series of the Ferrari Challenge, whether that's Asia-Pacific, North America, or indeed new for 2019, of course, the UK series. Murat Kuhardaroglu still thinks he can come back at Tanny Hanna as well. Tanny Hanna is currently P7, Murat Kuhardaroglu is P8. Murat, of course, is driving a spare car because of the damage to his car in Bahrain. And that's why you don't see the Turkish flag on the front of the 133 car of Murat Kuhardaroglu as you would do ordinarily. So they're all on to the start-finish straight now. And Christian Kinch, somewhere, has got past Ken Abe, and we didn't see that. And Tanny Hanna has got past Agata Smolka. So something happened to Ken Abe. Here it is. Completely got it wrong on the final turn. Look, ran too wide. Gave Christian Kinch the inside line. That was, he didn't need the invitation twice, did he? Job done. In fairness, that wasn't a turn 14. So wherever that was, Ken Abe made a mistake, played into the hands of Christian Kinch, and he was able to take advantage. This is Tommy Linder, I think, car number 127. He is about the only driver in the entire pack that has not been warned about track limits. Interestingly, he's down there in P12. That tells a story, really, doesn't it? But Tommy Linder, the clean driver who has not had a track penalty. Now, 172 and 177 are both being given a penalty of 5 seconds. So Giuseppe Romelli and Fons Skeltermar. Fons Skeltermar is back out again. The Kessel team have done work on the car and he's back out on track once again. Eric Chung leading from Ernst Kirchmayr. Then it is Christian Kinch in P3, Ken Abe P4. Then it's Corinna and Thomas Gosner P5 and 6 in the Shell class. On board with Tommy Lindroth then. The Baron Motorsport driver chasing down Giuseppe Romelli ahead in car number 172. The first 20 minutes of the race are virtually gone. And also virtually gone is Eric Chung, because he's now some 5.5 seconds up the road. There is Eric Chung, car number 198 then for Formula Racing. Just keeping himself to himself. Boris Gideon is picking up a time penalty for track limits. There is Ernst Kirchmayr, who right at the start of the race really took it to Eric Chung, but has not managed to maintain that because he's now some 5.3 seconds behind. Equally, he's a good 5 seconds ahead, almost exactly, of Christian Kinch. So Christian Kinch has got to put in a set of quali laps and quali laps plus to try and get on terms with Ernst Kirchmayr if he wanted to try and make that P3, P2. Ken Abe then, he made the mistake. That allowed Christian Kinch through. But to be fair, if you look at the pace Christian Kinch has compared to that of Ken Abe, I would say it was only a matter of time before Christian probably did get by him. Tani Hanna, Murat Kuhadaroglu, Agi Smolka. There is the Tani Hanna car number 157. Now, Tani Hanna is currently running in P8 in the race overall, which is P7 in the Shell category. As Eric Chung crosses the timing line to bank another lap in the book, Ernst Kirchmayr does the same, and as you can see, Christian Kinch is chasing him down. And interestingly, Christian Kinch's last lap was a 1:39.788. Ernst Kirchmayr's a 1:39.862. But there is only 9 3/4 minutes of the race left, and Ken Abe is beginning to turn the wick up as well. So all of a sudden, Christian Kinch is going to have to focus once again on defending rather than attacking. Because to keep Ken Abe keen, he has, of course, got Henrik Janssen behind him. Henrik Janssen is in the AM class, but even so, the pride of finishing ahead of as many cars as possible is what's driving Henrik. And at the moment, it's the converting the P3 to a P2 that's driving Christian Kinch, but I really do think that might be a task too much. You could see in that shot just how different or how big the gap is between P2 and P3. So Christian Kinch then. The standings of the AM drivers on screen for you. Try and keep you updated as much as we can, not only in voice but in graphics as well. Car 134 picks up a time penalty of 5 seconds. That car number 134 being the car of Alex Fox, which is running down there in P15 at the moment. There is Ken Abe, one of the most attractive liveries in the Ferrari Challenge this year, in my opinion. That 107 car being chased down by Henrik Janssen, the AM driver. So P1, P2 and P3 all across the timing line. 4.7 seconds is the lead that Eric Chung has over Ernst Kirchmayr and Christian Kinch. Christian Kinch still leading that block of 3 or 4 cars. The gap is 6/10 between himself and Ken Abe. Abe gets a little bit closer. Now, of course, Christian Kinch being able to get past Ken Abe by dint of a mistake that Ken made, and Ken will be wanting to right that wrong and try and reclaim that P3 position. Corinna Gosner, who of course started on the front row of the grid and unfortunately really got mugged at the start of the race. So the Rosso Scuderia driver Ken Abe 107 then. And there is a continual white line across our timing scheme of drivers that are exceeding track limits. It's virtually non-stop. And those time penalties to be added at the end of the race, of course. So when you see the cars cross the line in around about 7 minutes' time, do bear in mind that there are some time penalties to come. Including one for Tanny Hanna, who's going to pick up a penalty of 5 seconds. Tanny Hanna is currently running in P8, which is P7 in the race overall, or in class rather. This is Giuseppe Romelli losing the back end of the car. So Giuseppe Romelli piles on the opposite lock to try and control the gravel-induced slide. Is he able to hold on to it, or is it going to spin in a full 360? Well, I'm afraid when a 488 breaks away like that, there is not much he can do to hold on to it. But what, of course, it does do is drags a load of gravel across the track as well, which is not helpful. That's for sure in terms of adhesion for the rest of the drivers. You can really feel that Christian Kinch now perhaps is beginning to look a bit more ragged because of Ken Abe chasing down behind, although to be fair, the gap has increased a little bit from 5/10 to 7/10 now in that battle for P3 and P4 in Coppa Shell between Christian Kinch, the car to the very right-hand side of your picture, and Ken Abe, which is centre picture right now, both of them being chased by Henrik Janssen, who, of course, is in the Shell AM class. 5.5 minutes of the race remain. This will, if it stays this way, and there's no guarantees that it will be the 3rd podium in a row for Christian Kinch. Oh, and just for a moment, we have a timing screen with no messages on. Commentator's curse that was. As soon as I say that, Alex Fox gets warned about track limits. Eric Chung leading the Coppa Shell class and leading by 4.5 seconds. So the pace has gone down, but of course tyre degradation is reaching critical now because the cars have been out there for some 25 minutes. And all of a sudden Ken Abe looking even more lively against Christian Kinch now. The Shell AM class is led by that man, Henrik Janssen, for Formula Racing, in the number 132 car. One of the many that has been warned about track limits. And to add to that, Murat Kuhardaroglu and Corinna Gosner get yet another warning. So 4 minutes remain in this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. There's Chung, there's Ken Abe, and there is the 132 car of Henrik Janssen. In all of this, Laurent Demouse is running in P4 in the Coppa Shell AM class, is actually P13 in the race overall. And the battle for P7 in Shell is between Tanny Hanna and Murat Kuhardaroglu. And over the last couple of laps, Murat Kuhardaroglu appears to have been getting much, much closer to Tanny Hanna. Now, bearing in mind, Tanny Hanna, to my knowledge, has got 1 penalty. Murat Kuhardaroglu has also got a penalty. And now Manuela Gosner gets, Corinna Gosner gets another penalty added. 5-second time penalty, and in collecting that penalty then immediately gets warned about another track limit excursion potentially. So track limits here. Rather you than me in race control, it has to be said. So into the final 3 now, minutes, not laps. And Christian Kinch continuing to make that 488 as wide as possible to deny Ken Abe any chance of coming past. However, Ken Abe is looking very lively all over the back of the Christian Kinch car. So where can Ken Abe try and make a move? They're heading up towards turn number 8 now. And Ken just took a look at the inside, but that in turn means that he carries more momentum and runs wide, and that allows Christian to escape just for a moment. Turn number 11 is where they're at right now, and heading up towards turn number 12, and where Ken really needs to get onto the back of Christian Kinch is through this long sweep of turn number 13, and then the heavy braking section of turn number 14 to set himself up for a go down the start-finish straight, potentially. Ernst Kirchmayr crossing the line now, and Christian Kinch can breathe a sigh of relief because Ken Abe is nothing like close enough to be able to do anything. So we're going to have this lap plus one more, I would suggest, before we reach the conclusion of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. The race that from a Shell classification has been run from, or has been won from the very start by Eric Chung. Interestingly, Ernst Kirchmayr, who's P2, is being advised about track limits now. Of course, tyre degradation is such now that the grip afforded right at the beginning of the race is not the grip that's available to a driver now, I would suggest. Henrik Janssen is leading the AMS, and he certainly wasn't in pole position for the AMS at the beginning of the race. That went to Corinna Gosner. So you can hear the brakes squeal in protest. So Ken Abe has got the rest of this lap and one more to try and get the better of Christian Kinch, but Christian is driving really well and defending fairly but firmly. And Ken Abe is actually not so close as to require defending at the moment, so Christian is able to focus on nailing every corner and doing a good job. He, of course, is driver coached by Babalus. Relationship they have is very, very strong indeed. Now you can see there as Christian takes a tight line through turn number 14 as around has gone Ernst Kirchmayr. Oh, and so nearly collected by Corinna Gosner. I was saying that Christian has got such a good relationship with Babalus, and just as I was explaining that, also having gone around is 159. The car of Matthias Moser, and his gravel coming off the back of the Matthias Moser car all over the track. This is the race leader, Eric Chung. He has been faultless from turn 1 through until turn 14 for the final time. Driven an exceptional race. So Christian Kinch P2, Ken Abe P3, but Eric Chung is P1 and has 4 more turns to do before he will see the checkered flag, and it will be the first win for Eric Chung this season if he manages to hold on. So he's into turn number 13 now. Long sweeping right-hander. Left-hander, beg your pardon. Then the tight left-hander into turn number 14. And he will see the checkered flag unfurled ahead of him. And Eric Chung will win. There is the checkered flag. Eric Chung takes the win. Ernst Kirchmayr, having gone around, means that Christian Kinch becomes P2. Ken Abe becomes P3. Then it will be Henrik Janssen, Corinna Gosner, Thomas Gosner, Tanny Hanna. Ernst Kirchmayr recovers to take P8 in the race overall. Agata Smolka P2 in the AMS. Murat Kuadaroglu. Then it's Tommy Lindroth. And there is Corinna, then Eric Chung's wife. Von Skeltermar crosses the line. Is some laps down, though, of course, because he spent some time in the pit lane. And the rest of the cars will refrain from bringing you the full result until we know the score. Now, that was the Matthias Moser car rallycrossing through the gravel. and then distributing a good amount of that gravel all over the tarmac. And that was Ernst Kirchmayr having gone around. Good avoidance by everyone, and then Ernst Kirchmayr gets going again, and I just don't know how close it was between Corinna Gosner and Ernst Kirchmayr, and there potentially being contact. So Eric Chung, race winner. Did Eric pick up a time penalty? He did not. Clean race from Eric Chung in terms of keeping it within the white lines, and well done to him. So the order now has been updated by the timing screen. Eric Chung, Christian Kinch, P1, P2, and Thomas Gosner becomes P3 for Shell. Henrik Janssen, as you can see on screen, winner in Shell Am. Agata Smolka, P2. Giuseppe Romelli, P3 in the AMs. Wow, another stunning race with 13 penalties. Thank you to Nico alongside me for having done all the calculations. I've never seen smoke coming out of a pen before. Eric Chung, Christian Kinch, Thomas Gosner in the Shell. And then in the AMs, it was Henrik Janssen, Agata Smolka, and Giuseppe Romelli. What a race. Never fails to disappoint, the Ferrari Challenge, and Eric Chung has done a great job, and it is his first win of the season. Richly deserved. Eric, who's been in the Ferrari Challenge for a long time, and dashed good chap it is. It's the second P2 in a row, incidentally, for Christian Kinch. There is Babalussi's driver coach. Eric Chung atop his car. Steady on, Eric. Bravo ragazzi. Sounds like I know what I'm saying in Italian, and truthfully I don't. So the crowds make their way towards the podium area. Right, let's take a look at some of the highlights right now. So the cars lined up on the grid then, and the safety car led them away for their rolling lap. And once the cars were released, Corinna Gosner wide outside was going to be in all sorts of trouble because losing out on a load of places to the hard-charging von Skeltermar and to Ernst Kirchmayr as well. There ensued a fight between Ernst Kirchmayr and Eric Chung, but Eric Chung had got everything completely under control at this point. Von Skeltermar had a problem with his car. He slowed. He came into the pit lane. Nicky Kadai motivated him, and he got back out on track. Christian Kinch and Thomas Gosner had a little bit of a coming together here. Cyril is von Skeltermar's partner. She looked on, and David Fumanelli then, acting as driver coach, was trying to motivate his driver out there. Giuseppe Romelli found the gravel was not going to offer as much grip as the tarmac. And Eric Chung did not put a foot wrong and was one of the few drivers that didn't pick up a penalty in that race. Matthias Moser went for a rally crossing moment, sideways through the gravel and then distributing the gravel across the track. And Ernst Kirchmayr went around and all the other drivers avoided. And Eric Chung would take the win for Shell and Henrik Janssen would take the win for the AMS. Aggie Smolka then. Driver coach David Fumanelli there. Congratulated by the team. Did a great job. And Drivers will be headed up to the podium in due course. Here's the full classification. For Shell drivers, first of all, Eric Chung, Christian Kinch, Thomas Gosner. The 1, 2, 3, then it was Ken Abe and Ernst Kirschmeyer, Tani Hanna, Murad Kuhadaroglu, Tommy Lindroth, Corinna Gosner, and Matthias Moser, with von Skeltermar bringing up the P11 place. All the information at races.ferrari.com if you want to check out the results. Once again, the full classifications will be up there for you. There is Tani Hanna. And we're going to be heading up to the podium in due course, and we will see Eric Chung, Christian Kinch, and Thomas Gosner first of all. So the podium being readied, as you can see. And here is the classification in the Drivers' Championship, actually. Tani Hanna leading on 45 points. Christian Kinch just 1 point behind on 44. Then it's Eric Chung and Ernst Kirschmeyer. So the Drivers' Championship, just looking at the points at the moment, but of course there's a lot of racing to come between now and the end of the season. And there is the Aggie Smolka car, engineered by Rosso Corsa. Aggie Smolka going to be on the podium for P2 in the AMS, of course. And Henrik Janssen will be on the top step of the podium. And I think the podium is about to get underway now. Can hear that being dragged into being. So the crowd ready to enjoy the podium ceremony. So the first podium will be for the Shell drivers, so we will see Eric Chung, Christian Kinch and Thomas Gosner. So there's Thomas, there is Christian, and there is Eric Chung. Formula Racing represented, of course, for the teams, and Eric jumps on top of the podium. Here's the national anthem.
El señor Antonello Coletta, Head of Ferrari Attività Sportive GT.
So Mr. Antonello Coletta then, the head of Ferrari Attività Sportive GT, making the trophy presentation to Thomas Gosner, to Christian Kinch, and of course to Eric Chung. Formula Racing will receive the team's trophy. So the drivers all get together for the photographs. And it's time for the champagne. Super slow-mo's the top three. Thomas Gosner, Then it will be Christian Kinch and Eric Chung.
Los pilotos celebrándose el resultado, la victoria de Chung, que tomó la cabeza de carrera en los primeros instantes y no la soltó, a pesar del acoso de varios pilotos. Y esa segunda posición que se dirimió en la última vuelta a favor de Christian Kinch, por delante de Thomas Gosner. Vamos ya rápidamente con los pilotos de la Coppa Shell Amateur. La manga que se disputa, tenemos ahí pequeñas sorpresas.
And there a replay of a good champagne moment. In the Shell Am classification, Henrik Janssen, Agata Smolka, Giuseppe Ramelli, the drivers that we will see on the podium.
Segunda posición para Agata Smolka. Y el vencedor, Henrik Janssen. Equipo vencedor, Fórmula Racing, representado por Alan Jorgensen. Escuchamos en honor del vencedor el himno de Dinamarca.
So we're going to have one of the official Ferrari GT drivers, Mr. Andrea Bertolini, to make a trophy presentation here. First of all, to Giuseppe Ramelli, then to Agata Smolka, and of course to our race winner, Henrik Janssen.
El oficial Ferrari GT Drive, Andrea Bertolini, entregará el trofeo al equipo ganador Fórmula Racing, representado por
Alan Jorgensen from Formula Racing received the Coppa Team trophy.
Cuatro premiados con la fotografía para el recuerdo en el centro del podio con Giuseppe, Agata, Henrik.
And lift up your trophies.
Levantando las copas.
Now you watch Jorgensen move. Mr. Jorgensen to the very left of your picture. Once the trophies goes down, he's off. Don't want to be having any of that champagne. He wasn't quite as athletic as I thought he was going to be, in all honesty. Agata Smolka, what a great job she's doing. So, Henrik Janssen, Agata Smolka, and Giuseppe Ramelli. And in reverse order, here come the cars in super slow-mo of the drivers that you saw up there on the podium. First of all, Giuseppe Ramelli, then in P2, Agata Smolka, and of course, P1, Henrik Janssen, engineered by Formula Racing. So, both the Trofeo Pirelli and Coppa Shell races have been very enjoyable. Laurent Damouz maintains his position at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Agata Smolka chasing, though, in P2. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.